Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sorry I'm Late. My name is Peter Thompson. I'm going to be your host for the run of episodes, however long this ends up being, but hopefully for the near future, you guys are going to stick with me. I wanted to start with some introductions to get you guys introduced to the show, what it's going to be, and more importantly, why you should spend your time listening to it, right? So first of all, who am I? I'm Peter Thompson, the most stereotypical college kid you'll meet in your life. However, you're like, why should I listen to this, right? Because recently, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I've come to the conclusion, with the help of some great people in my life, that life is all about perspective at the end of the day, right? You only know the experiences of other people through what they tell you, their opinions, their ideas, and that is the core of the human experience, right? So, one of the main ways we get perspective through this social media age, right, is through content creation, is through Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of these things. And I have always been, like every kid that grew up on the internet, I made a Minecraft channel when I was in 5th grade with a bunch of my friends, one of which will be on the podcast later. I've done multiple random YouTube channel starts, relaunches, rebrands, different names, etc. And the entire time I was trying to make something big. I wanted to make something that would blow up. I'd have bajillion subscribers. And at the end of the day, like, that's the wrong reason to do this. This show, I promise we'll get back to perspectives in a minute. I'm kind of rambling here, though. So, this show is going to be about stuff that I'm interested in as a person. This show comes from the idea that I've been told my entire life I would be great at podcasting. I would be great at talking to people and recording it and putting it online for random people to enjoy, such as yourself. And I'm sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm late to the party. But now that I'm here, we're going to have a great time shooting. I want to talk about some of the inspirations for the show first, and then get into how it's broken down, right? So, for the past month, shout out June, that's my birthday month. For the past month, we're mid-July right now, however, I've been honestly in a bit of a rut. I haven't had really many outlets to actually do stuff with. I've been either, going to the gym and playing video games and listening to music and taking in all of this information. However, when you're not really putting your all into anything, it can get quite depressing pretty fast. I promise you that. Don't worry. So that's why I thought that I needed a creative outlet, something that could help me and my mind do something to have a purpose. And I was talking with my father, PNTMD, the senior of the two. And he's the greatest man that I know. And he told me that our goal in life should be to help other people. And when he told me that, I was like, I want to actually make something that can try to at least change or help someone listening to this. Even if this gets 2 views, right? It's helping me out creatively because I'm able to actually make something and put my all into something, because I've never really done that in my life. I've coasted by, really, honestly. And this is going to be something I can really put my all into. And I hope that you guys enjoy the journey. Stick around for however long you want. Yeah, life is about perspectives, and I think my perspective and voice is unique to anyone else doing this because of how I've grown up. From the ages of 15, not even before 15, like 13 to like 16, 17, I've grown up on the internet. I really have. I've grown up on memes and YouTube and Twitch and gaming and Instagram and Twitter, and all of these things have raised me, and they've formed my interests in certain things, which is why the podcast is going to be the way that it is. So without further ado, I'll explain the format of the show to you guys. The format of the show is going to be split up into about 4 or 5 sections. These sections are going to cover topics of pop culture. I hate that word, by the way. We got culture. Topics of culture that I'm interested in. So there's going to be a video game section. If you know me, you know that video games are one of my passions in life. I could explain to you to the nth degree why video games are important to me as a person. So, in conjunction to video games, I keep banging the desk. I feel like it's going to mess up the audio. In conjunction to video games, music is another thing I'm super passionate about. You guys will come to know me. I'm a Kanye West stan. Pretty much anything that Kanye touches is gold to me. But that's not it. I'll be covering some like more pop albums, hip hop, R&B, pretty much anything that's relevant to the culture in general, right? Then we have a sports section. I will be the one to tell you right now. For me, basketball is my bread and butter. That's the sport I by far know the most about. But this is why this show is going to be interesting. So I'll quickly go over the other sections before I get in. So there's going to be a video game section, a sports section, music I already mentioned, and then like a movie section. So that's going to be like movies and TV. So something big is released, some news comes out. Any news will be pertained to the specific section of the show. You can click through the sections if you want. This is supposed to be a supplemental show. These sections are going to be 15-ish, 20-ish, maybe even 30 minutes long. But I want to respect your time because you guys are, at the end of the day, putting your time and effort into listening to this and listening to my voice. So this 15, 20-minute section is supposed to be a supplement as to what you're already enjoying, right? I'm not here to come give you basketball takes better than JJ Redick. I'm not here to come in here and give you movie sections like your movie reviewers you listen to, or I'm not here to come and tell you music the way that you listen to. So if you listen to Joe Budden podcasts or anything like that, I'm not here to take that spot. I'm here to supplement that spot. And these sections are meant to be ways for you guys to skip around, honestly. If you guys, I do this all the time with my podcast. Honestly, I don't want to sit here and listen to these specific topics. I might be more interested in something else. And that's where I want to spend my time. And that's where I'm going to try to respect your guys' time and make these sections a little shorter. So here comes the perspectives discussion again. I've already introed it a little bit. However, perspectives in life are really what give it meaning, the human experience in general. And I've come to have a pretty big friend circle, and I love all of my friends. They're great. So I wanted to incorporate them into this project in a big way. The first guest, he's one of my housemates and my best friend since 3rd grade. We'll get in all this later. But I've always dreamed of starting a podcast with him because me and him just gel together. We talk and we talk and we talk and we talk and we talk. And I don't know why we haven't done it. Particulars because of his commitment, which is why we're doing it solo, because fuck him. We don't need him. We do though. That's why we're getting him later. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a rotating second and possibly third chair. So for one of these sections each week, it's going to be a little bit longer as opposed to the 15 to 20 to 30 minute segments. This section is going to be 30 to 45, and it's going to be a duo trio discussion with a rotating second chair. That way it's going to be more dynamic. You're going to have different perspectives, changing perspectives, because you're going to hear I'm in my bag, right, when I'm talking about video games or I'm talking about music, right? movies specifically too. Sports, I know a good bit about basketball, but I'm not really the most well-versed in football, right? This is where these other perspectives of having a rotating second chair come in, right? I can sit here and educate people about Jedi Fallen Order and Respawn Entertainment and them as a studio, right? But there's going to be times where a crazy football game is on this week, and I'm going to have one of my other roommates, Paul, he can come in and break it down for us. We can spend 30 minutes talking about sports. It's going to be educating me, educating them. You guys are going to be learning with me. I'm learning how to do this in the first place, which is why, if like I just said, banging the desk, right? I don't know what I'm doing here. I haven't done this before, but I'm going to try to make it interesting. I really am. And if you guys can stick around, at least for the first episode, get a feel for it. If you guys don't like it, leave, whatever. Please just find some voice to listen to, because I think at the end of the day, informing yourself on different people's perspectives is essential. So without further ado, sorry I'm late. We're going to get into the music section of the podcast. So where I wanted to begin this section specifically was with good old Mr. Abel and The Weeknd. I went to the Weeknd concert in Philadelphia. I'd been looking forward to this for months. Weeknd for me is probably somewhere in my top 5 artists that I want to see live. And not even want to see live, just top 5 artists in general, because I enjoy his projects. I enjoy Trilogy, House of Balloons, even like the older projects. I enjoy them as much as I enjoy the Starboys, the Dawn FMs, After Hours specifically. I know everyone fucking loves that album. So I really was interested to see how it was going to gel live. I was kind of interested because I'd seen performances of him through YouTube and other things, and everything I've heard was he's a great artist. He makes great music. However, live he's different. He's not as good live as he is on recording. So I was tempering my expectations going in. I got crazy seats for the price. Since Doja pulled out, those tickets plummeted, which, by the way, was very sad when she pulled out. I think seeing Doja live would have been incredible. Maybe even better than the content I got to see. But I went, and I think that was potentially, I haven't been to that many concerts, like a handful. And out of the handful, that was probably hands down with Tyler. If you guys are watching the video version of this, you're going to see me wearing a Call Me If You Get Lost hoodie. This is probably tied with Tyler in terms of how much I enjoyed it and how good he was live. I was genuinely shocked. Starting with the opening acts, actually, Mike Dean. Obviously, if you heard the intro to the podcast, I'm a Kanye West stan. Hands down, Kanye West for me is my favorite artist. Not even close. And to hear Mike Dean was opening, I was super excited. Just to hear the synths, the guitar, just to experience Mike Dean production live was super intriguing to me. And it really didn't disappoint. I enjoyed hearing all this music. To be fair, I've never heard a Mike Dean solo project in my life. I've only ever heard his work on like the Astro World and every single Kanye album. And then I know that he did some work on Dawn FM too, so I was pretty interested. And man, hearing that Skeletons instrumental live was life-changing. Just kidding. It wasn't life-changing, but it was really fucking good. Like, surprisingly good. And then this is where we got into the second opening act of K-Tronada. I've never in my entire life listened to house music. It's never been a thing I got into. Growing up on the internet, I remember 2012, dubstep went absolutely crazy. Skrillex was the biggest meme in the world. If you understand what I'm talking about, you get it, right? And it's not that I didn't like it, But there is just something about that type of music that I can listen to for a solid 2, 3, 4 songs before I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to hear. I think K Tornado was on for probably like 45 minutes at least. And I was just like, after a while, you're just sitting there just like you're just sitting there bopping your head. Like, the music's good. Like, it sounds nice to listen to. The samples are cut up real nice. It's just that type of music has never really spoke to me. I really wish it did. I wish we could get someone in here to explain to me why house music is insane. Maybe we can. Maybe I'll get one of my friends on to explain house music. That's actually a great segment. But like, I don't get it. It's not my vibe. So then, after about 30 minutes of that, sun goes down. This random moon, like, I'm not kidding, a actual moon popped up in the stadium. I was like, oh shit, here we fucking go. I called that Alone Again was going to be the opener. Like, when I honestly, since I heard the album, I was like, this is a tour opener. And when you hear the first notes of it come in, you see the dancers come. This was a insane concert, or at least to me. I absolutely loved it. The track list was 29 songs, and I think he did a great job of picking the hits, right? You're gonna hear your Blinding Lights, you're gonna hear your Starboys, but then the trilogy picks, like, Hearing the Morning was fucking incredible. Like, the Wicked Games, like, had this cool synth backdrop over, and I fucking loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought it was so good. Call Out My Name might be the best song I've ever heard live. I, like, actually almost started crying. Like, if you've ever seen the video of Tyler, the Creator, at fucking watching Runaway, where he's just, like, screaming and is, like, no, that was, like, actually, that was me. That was me. I was pretty much crying. It was pretty emotional. I thought Die For You was another incredible song. I thought After Hours, the song was really good. Less Than Zero was another crazy track. It was just, for me, as someone who enjoys The Weeknd in all aspects, it was a really perfect concert. The track list was pretty perfect, and I don't know what else people would have asked for. I can understand where they're coming from, where they're like, I wish he would have played blank album cut or blank album cut. But honestly, to me, you can't go into any concert expecting to hear like a random trilogy album, like a trilogy cut. You're not going to hear that. The Weeknd is one of the biggest artists in the world. He's the most streamed Spotify song, I believe, ever. And going into a global stadium tour and expecting anything different than just the hits, in my opinion, is quite idiotic. I will say I am a Reddit user, so I went to the Weeknd Reddit afterwards, and people were shitting on the show. I went to the Philadelphia one. Go Sixers. I went to the Philadelphia one, and it was pretty insane. Because I enjoyed myself so much. I thought every track really was enjoyable, at least. It's not like it was a bad show, right? Contrary to what I heard before, I thought it was a genuinely good performance. His vocals were great. I thought all the sound design and the effects on stage were great. And to hear all the people shitting on it was just like, I don't know. The biggest complaint was, like, people didn't want to get their specific set list, but, like, get the fuck over it. I'm sorry. He's a pop star. You're going to get the hits. Like, that's what you're going to get. The fact that you even got Or Nah, right? The fact that you got Wicked Games in the Morning, like I said before, like, take them. You take those. You take those. Conjunction to the Weeknd, as we're on, like, the whole R&B wave, I wanted to give my Brent Faiyaz thoughts a week from the album. I was gonna do, if I recorded this last week, this was gonna be the main topic of the show, talking about Brent's album. But I think that through multiple listens, I don't think it's better than Fuck the World. I think a couple of the tracks are fucking hits. Like Addictions, in my opinion, is a fucking track. I couldn't tell you the feature. He kills it. Absolutely kills it. I think, who else? The other track, Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone's another great track. Rolling Stone Slowed, for all my slowed people out there. Rolling Stone Slowed is the slowed track of that album. That track is dangerous. Role Model is up there too. My only nitpick with the Brent album is that a lot of the tracks released beforehand ended up being like the best on the album. In my opinion, Dead Man Walking is head and shoulders above pretty much every track on that album. I think it's also might be Brent's best song. But having 4 singles leading into the album, I don't know. I didn't really like that much. I didn't like having the 4 singles. I think if you give us Dead Man Walking, and I think you keep Wasted Times for the album, and then I think you move, like Gravity was, I believe, came out beforehand, and Gravity is a great song. You drop Dead Man Walking and Gravity, you have those 2 tracks. Maybe you release Dead Man Walking closer to the album's release instead of, like, I believe it was last summer or last spring. Maybe you push that up to winter. And I think it would have been more enjoyable front to back because you wouldn't have heard as many of the songs. But overall, I think it's a good track. It's a good track list. It's a good performance from Brent. I know a lot of people were thinking that it was underwhelming for him, considering how great Fuck the World was. I think it's like a solid 7.5, maybe even like a 6.5. I think it comes together in the last tracks for me. I thought I believe it's the Alicia Keys feature. I didn't like at all, but yeah, it's good. Maybe not the best, but I think it was an enjoyable listen all the way through. I want to get into, one of my best friends, Kim, you guys will meet him at some point in one of these episodes. If it's next episode or episode 3 or 4, you'll meet him at some point because he's a very important character in my life. I'm driving back to my house here. This is my college house. If you can believe, this set is my college basement, which is fucking insane. He was telling me to listen to the Steve Lacy project, and I heard, let me tell you, I know absolute dog shit about Steve Lacy. Literally nothing. I know that he's on 911 Mr. Lonely with Tyler and Frank, and that is it. I know nothing else. So when I'm driving up here yesterday and he goes, yeah, listen to the album, give me some thoughts. I was like an hour away from here and I was like, fuck it. Okay, cool. Listen to it. Man, that's a fucking project. I thoroughly enjoyed, I believe it's a 10-track list. I can look real quick. Gemini Rights track list. Probably should have had this pulled up beforehand, but I told you guys are learning with me. Out of the 10 tracks, I thoroughly enjoyed probably 8 of them. The intro didn't sit that well for me, if we're being honest. But from there down, Mercury's a fucking track. Buttons is a fucking track. Bad Habit has been playing since I got here yesterday. This is a fucking project. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's like a good mix of like old school Brockhampton, and like slower Brockhampton songs with like Joji and Frank like all mashed together. It's fucking pretty interesting. If you haven't listened to it, go ahead and give it a listen. I think it's definitely worth it. I think it's... I don't want to rank it because I've listened to it so close, right? I want to have some time to sit with it a little bit more. But off initial reactions, I'd say it's like around like around the same as Brent, like 7.5, maybe even an 8. Some of these tracks are insane. Like I've said, Bad Habits has been on repeat. I drove like an hour away from here the other day, and Bad Habits was the only song playing in my car. I now wanted to get to Joey Badass. If we are tracking, he is dropping 4 days from now, which is going to be interesting. We haven't gotten a project since, I believe that was 2017, I want to say, with All American Badass. And it's going to be interesting, I think. I've not enjoyed the singles, like, at all. I think I understand the message behind the single he dropped, I believe it was last week. I think the message was great. I just didn't like the music that much. And honestly, it's kind of been the theme with him. No, actually, I can't even say that. Because if you guys listen to that Chance the Rapper, Joey Badass track, that track is incredible. That's probably top 5 of the year for me. I think Chance, by the way, is going to have an insane comeback. That's another conversation for another day when music is slower. I can get into why I think that next album for him is going to be that album. I swear to God. Joey Badass, though, I think he's going to come through. I think it's going to be a solid project. Honestly, that's about it. I think it's going to be a solid project. I think it's going to have some hits. You're going to have some fucking bangers. You're going to have the typical Joey Badass, like, smooth delivery. I really enjoyed that Light Pack. If you guys understand what I'm talking about, he dropped a couple tracks. I believe it was 2020. I really enjoyed those. And I think that Shine was incredible. I thought the Pusha T feature on No Explanations was really good. All those tracks are in my playlist, get played pretty frequently just because I do enjoy Joey's music. I think Before the Money's a great album. Yeah. And then I wanted to get into, to end off the music section here, I wanted to get into, the underrating of Bruno Mars. Listen, another reason why the podcast is called Sorry I'm Late is because I'm late to a lot of shit. I think if anyone knows me, I'm always either the first one on some shit or I'm the one that's like getting informed, or that's pretty much how it goes every time. And man, I've listened. Everyone's heard. If you've grown up in the 2000s and 2010s, you've heard Bruno Mars all over the place. His songs are unequivocally fucking pop bangers, like, actually. But I didn't know how deep his bag really was. I was recently re-listening to Silk Sonic, and I was like, fucking man. Let's go back and listen to some of these older projects. And I think Unorthodox Jukebox is great. I think 24K Magic is great. I think both those albums are really fucking good. But holy shit, Doo-Wops and Hooligans might actually be the single best pop album I've heard in my life. Like, first off, if you've grown up, or if you've listened to the radio at all in the past 20 years, you've heard 6 out of the, I believe, 10 or 12 tracks already, because they're all insane. You've heard Grenade, you've heard Lazy Songs, you've heard Count on Me, right? But the other side, featuring CeeLo Green and B.O.B., when B.O.B. was really doing shit, like when he was putting out fucking verse after verse, damn, that fucking track is incredible. Like, holy fuck. I can't believe that I really never listened to it before like that. But once again, me being late on something is nothing fucking new. I just wanted to give Bruno Mars some props because it's who I've been listening to a lot in the past week-ish. And then for the final topic of the music section, man, it's gonna pain me to say this as a Kanye stan, but man, we the culture was wrong about this Drake album, and by the culture I mean me. I mean a lot of people that were slandering this fucking album all over the place. Don't get me wrong, there are still tracks on this thing that I despise and will never listen to. I think Drake is a great artist. For like background context, I think Drake is a great artist. I think he makes great rap music. I much prefer rapping / singing Drake, or just straight rapping Drake, to singing Drake, like R&B Drake, but the change to this dance house type vibe, I was pretty interested in. I was like, okay. Album fell flat on its face for me the first listen through. I fucking hated pretty much every track. I thought Sticky was the only good track because I don't consider Jimmy Cooks. I mean, Jimmy Cooks is obviously the best track on the album because of the feature from Feature God 21. But yeah, I really didn't expect it to grow on me as much as it has. I know the meme is fucking Drake drops albums and they say they're a sleeper, and he's got fucking written many bars about this, but no, I really liked it. I actually I'm coming around on it a lot. I think Massive is really fucking good. Massive is a great gym song for all my lifting people out there. Massive is great. Flights Booked, insane at night. Especially for these summer nights where you're driving with the windows down. Flights Booked is fucking great. I think this album, I slept on it a lot when I first listened to it, and now it's kind of growing on me a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, as much as it pains me to say it, because I do think Drake has fallen off a lot in the past couple years, but I think that album is actually gonna grow on a lot of people. All right, I think that about does it for music for the week. For sports, we got a quick sports section this week because if you guys know sports at all, hold on, water break. Reminder, everyone, take a drink of your water. Take a drink of whatever liquid you like putting in your body at a good old 1:07 p.m. on a Monday. But the sports section is going to be pretty quick this week just because it's, if you know sports at all, it's a dead time. It's baseball season, which, no offense to baseball, I think baseball is an incredible sport. Baseball is just, I'm not here to give you a baseball podcast. I'm here to give you a culture podcast. And at the end of the day, baseball isn't really moving culture that much. I want to talk about Ayton going back to the Suns on a pretty fucking crazy deal. I think it was $130 million. I could be wrong. Let me do a quick fact check of myself here. Let me see. Yeah, $133 million, which is fucking insane that DeAndre Ayton's getting paid that money for a $4 million contract. I think it's worth it. I think if you're the Suns, it is worth it. However, this does affect a pretty important player in the league, in Kevin Durant, because at least from what I know, granted, I fucking love basketball. I don't know about contracts. I watch the game, give you my thoughts, right? I'm almost 95% sure that DeAndre Ayton cannot be traded until, I think it's within a year, or until January, and then he has like a veto option, I think. So that affects Kevin Durant, because big homie might now have to stay in Brooklyn, because I don't think anyone's going to be paying the price that Brooklyn really wants to see. Honestly, I don't. I think KD is going to have to end up sticking in Brooklyn. I think if anyone moves, it's going to be Kyrie. I think Kyrie to the Lakers is pretty much going to happen. We're just waiting for the news at some point. I think they're just arguing over picks or something, is my guess. Obviously, this is the opinion of Peter Thompson, a college student, right? I have no fucking idea about NBA front offices. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about how these contracts affect specific players. No, that's not what I do. I'm going to tell you my thoughts. If they're fucking wrong, they're fucking wrong. We correct them as we go. We're learning. It's an experience. Join me. I also want to talk about Donovan Mitchell. The Donovan Mitchell is now on the market, as I believe the Jazz are accepting calls. And it's pretty interesting to me that this is all happening now, because the Jazz have been, in terms of like record, have been really fucking good for the past couple years. I think Gobert is one of the most underrated players in the league, honestly. I really do. I think Gobert has just intangibles on defense that you don't get from a lot of players in the league. He's the most elite rim protector. I know NBA Twitter loves to fucking cook this man, say he can't guard, he can't fucking move out of the paint, but that's not what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to sit there, get fucking rebounds, and block shit in the paint. And I think that them blowing it up so soon might be a mistake, honestly, because Utah is a pretty small franchise. I don't know when we're going to see another Utah Jazz team. But the 5 picks from the Timberwolves are definitely going to help. Even though I think the Timberwolves' decision to make that trade is also fucking really weird. Really weird, in my opinion. I think that the 2-center duo, it's going to almost be like when the Pelicans had Boogie and AD. If any of you know what I'm talking about, where they're playing like just this fucking Twin Towers lineup where they would just bash you in the fucking paint. It was sick to fucking watch, honestly. But I think that it's going to be interesting to see what the Jazz do with Mitchell. If the rumors are true, the Knicks are the most likely destination for him. I don't know how much I feel about that. I think that the Knicks would be a great fucking fit for him because he needs to be I don't know if Mitchell can be a 1 on a team. I think Mitchell has to be in that lane where he can go and score for you, but I don't know if he's going to be out here as the number 1 option. He's going to be like a great number 2. At least in my opinion, that's the way I view it. I think the Knicks are going to be fucking happy as shit when they get them because the Knicks are a sorry fucking franchise. They're just not going anywhere, especially Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle is... That was a fluke season, I think. I think he played insane, out of his mind 2 years ago, but I don't think we're going to get that same production pretty much in the near future from him, in my opinion. After Mitchell trades, let's get to granted I'm a little biased because I am an NBA fan, but I think that NBA free agency is keeping the summer interesting for sports. I think that it does every offseason. If you believe that any other offseason in any sport is better than NBA, I think you're crazy. And I think that's just because of how much power the players have in the NBA now. We're now seeing something unprecedented where the best player in his prime is asking to be traded with 4 fucking years left on his contract. All fucking power to KD. It's a baller move, especially because out of the 3 people on that team, he was the one that really put his all into being on the court and being present and putting the fucking ball in the hoop. I think that free agency in general is just keeping this summer interesting. So many different stories with my team. I'm a diehard Sixers fan, so I know, feel bad for me. I think Harden doing Harden things with taking the pay cut for the team was fucking great for us. I think PJ Tucker signing was great for us. I think the DeAnthony Melton trade was great for us. But just like in the league in general, we had so many free agents this year, so many people signing deals. And now we have these trade rumors, which are going to keep discussions going week on fucking week on ESPN. First Take might be the fucking worst show in the history of the world. The recycling of LeBron into trade request into blah 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 is just fucking mind numbing at this point. As much as I do love watching like Skip and Shannon and all these shows, I think like the topics we got to start. I get that those are the topics that get viewers, but I think if you have topics that are engaging, people are gonna watch regardless. And honestly, that's about all for sports this week. It's summer. It's summer. It's dead time. As soon as fall picks up and we get football every week, we'll have fucking Paul, my one roommate, who's a football genius. We'll have him in every week. We'll have basketball people in every week. But until then, sports news is going to be a little slow. And I'm sorry for my sports people out there. Now here is where I wanted to get into the Peter Thompson bag, as I would like to say, my metaphorical bag in video games. So when I was going to start this last week, as I talked about before, and I was going to talk about my experience with Red Dead Redemption 2. I promise you, I am 2 years late on this game. Way more than 2. 4 years late on this game. I swear to God. I picked it up in 2018, played about 3 hours, was like, cool, not for me. I thought the intro's incredible, put it down. And then for some reason, in the back of my mind, I was like, damn, I really want to go back and experience this. Because I've heard so many fucking great things. The 10s that it got. I started watching the Nakey Jakey video, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Talking about how Rockstar's game design is outdated. And holy fuck. What a game. What a fucking game. I think that game has these moments that are almost unparalleled, in my opinion. In chapter 3, when you pull up to the manor after the one incest inbred family takes Jack away, you know the moment I'm talking about, where it's this shot of the fucking house and the house is on fire and you have the gang in front of it. Just the gang in general is such a compelling reason to play a video game, because you're never gonna see these. It's like 20 characters, and they're all fleshed out, and these characters all have such cool interactions with each other, and how great, genuinely great they are together. It really is unparalleled. I don't ever think I've seen it in another video game, ever. And I think that Rockstar, if they could just... Look, Rockstar is going to make games. They're going to fucking sell. They make GTA every year. Little 13-year-olds are going to go jerk their fucking peenies in the fucking strip clubs. All right? Let's be honest with ourselves. They're going to sell. But I would love for Rockstar to keep making games like this. As long as the fucking controls are better. Please, just answer my prayers and make a fucking control scheme that isn't designed like a mouth-breathing 2-year-old. It's insane to me that people will sit here and play this game with literally mind-numbing controls. The random mini games that you have to do for these fucking missions are controlled terribly. I think that almost ruined my experience a couple times. Just the lock picking is so stupid. You literally don't even have to think. The hand cart game with John when you're blowing up the bridge. Spoilers for a fucking game that's 4 years old. But I have gotten to, in the story, I've gotten to where, spoilers, obviously, Arthur dies. The ending I chose was the High Honor ending, where you help John escape. And I don't think that I'm going to play the epilogue. I might if I get bored, but man, that story is fucking incredible. It's just so good, front to back. Everything about that story is fucking great. Arthur's development as a character, Dutch's descent into just becoming this warped fucking guy who's just trying to survive at the end of the day. He doesn't really care about loyalty, and that's what Arthur's all about. Arthur's all about this undeniable sense of, I need to do this for my people. I need to help the people that are helping me. And when he sees Dutch stop doing that, especially at the end of the game with Abigail, man, like these moments are just so great. That moment where you come back from the island and you're on the horse and you just hear D'Angelo sneak into your fucking headphones and you're just like, holy shit. This game is incredible. This game is so good. It really is. And I'm not quite sure why I didn't pick it up. Maybe it was the control scheme. Maybe I was going through a phase where I was addicted to League of Legends like it was fucking heroin. But I really do think that if you've not played Red Dead Redemption 2, if you see how long this game is, it's worth it. I promise you. Just give it a chance. It's a slow burn, especially the story. It's a slow fucking burn. But I'll give you an analogy real quick. When I was a senior in high school, we had to read A Tale of Two Cities. If you've read A Tale of Two Cities in your life, I'm not a book person. I put this here for decoration, okay? I've read about 30 pages of this book. I'm not a book person. So we go and we're reading Tale of Two Cities, and it's like 400 fucking pages, and I'm sitting and I'm just like, when are all these narrative threads going to come together? Because you're getting a page on this, a page on this, a page on this, and it never seems like they're going to connect. And then once the dominoes start falling, you're like, holy fuck, this story is so good. It's really, really fucking good. And that's about the same way I felt about Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, when you're doing these random fucking side missions where you're helping blank dude, like, rob this random stagecoach, like, why am I doing this? But then when you see the conclusion, you see where these decisions land these characters and the deaths of many of them, and it's just perfect. It really is. It's incredible that this story was told over about, it took me 50, 60 hours probably to beat the story. And I was strictly playing the story because for me, I didn't really care too much about the free roam. I think that's more of a GTA thing for me. But that portion where you're just doing these missions and you're like, where is this going to? I understand the story, I understand this and that, but where are we getting? And then when you see that conclusion and you see Dutch making these decisions, you see Arthur making, John making these decisions, especially towards the end of the game, you're just like, man, these characters are so far from where they were in the beginning of the story that it's pretty fucking great. If you haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously, you're about 4 years late, just like me. Once again, sorry I'm late on that one. I wanted to transition this into a discussion as why I don't think single-player games are going anywhere. Everyone's talking about how free-to-play Battle Royale, free-to-play blah, 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 free-to-play multiplayer is going to be the future. I really don't think it's going that way. I think you're going to have these fucking Grand Slam games that are going to sell units. Spider-Man is going to fucking sell units, right? Like, Spider-Man getting ported to Steam, that's going to move. And whether you like it or not, whether you think single-player games are boring or not, they're not going anywhere. Because at the end of the day, video games you can play them with other people, but the origin of video games is like playing them by yourself. And that's why I think God of War Ragnarok, releasing this November, is going to be the game of the year. I've played pretty much every major release, I think, that's come out this year. I think Elden Ring was one of the most incredible experiences I've had with a game. I'll probably get into that on the next pod. But I think God of War Ragnarok is going to be a fucking banger of a game. I don't know if it's going to be as good as the first one. There's definitely evidence. Sorry about that. Jeez. The odds are not on their side in terms of making a game that's going to shock the world like the first one did. The first one is my favorite game I've ever played in my life, which says a lot because I've played a lot of video games, I'll have you know. Quick water break. I've spent about 5 years of my life playing video games, so just playing. That sounds terrible. This section might get cut. Actually, fuck it. We'll keep it in. My entire life I've grown up playing video games, but this is why I think that God of War, I don't know. I think it's going to be the game of the year. I love the story. I love Kratos. I love Atreus. I love these characters. I think Freya's going to be fucking great in this. I think she's going to be the highlight, honestly, of this one. But yeah, God of War releasing November. Very excited. Just did not fucking know the proximity it has to Pokemon. Just didn't know that it's releasing 3 days before. 3 days, I believe. I could fact check myself, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's releasing on the 9th and Pokemon's releasing on the 12th. Just the proximity to that is going to be interesting because there's 2 games I'm very interested in. And I'm going to destroy Ragnarok when it comes out. That game is going to be the only thing I'm playing for probably 2 weeks straight. And Pokemon, I think I'm a Pokemon stan. I'm a Pokemon fanboy. If you grew up in my era, you know Pokemon, how much this means to a lot of people. Even if you grew up before my era. My fucking boss loves Pokemon. Shout out Joe. He'll be on one of these episodes, I promise. Pokemon's going to be interesting this year. A couple down years, in my opinion. I think Sword and Shield was not the best showing that they have to offer. I did not play Legends Arceus. Everything I've heard has been fucking amazing from it, though. So maybe I will get on that before Scarlet and Violet release. Into our next topic. Quick little points I'm shooting out. Ubisoft, their show, September. I'm really interested to see what we're going to actually find out about Ubisoft, what we're working on here. I could be fucking belligerently high, but I don't think that Assassin's Creed has had a release in a little bit. I think Valhalla was the last one, and I think that was in 2020. Was that last year? No way. Valhalla was last year, right? Assassin's Creed. Let's see. That was this is insane, 'cause I'm typically pretty good with this. If I want to, yeah, that was 2020. All right, that makes a lot of sense. So, I think we're gonna get some form of an Assassin's Creed project. I would love to see a Splinter Cell thing. Anything, honestly. I would love to see if we bring back Rayman. What the fuck is going on with Beyond Good and Evil 2? Seriously, like, what are we doing? I know that the director quit the studio, but I assume that game is done enough to the point where it's gonna release. So hopefully the Ubisoft show in September is gonna be a banger. A good Ubisoft is good for the industry. I think Far Cry 6 was a really fucking good game. I think I sunk about 30 hours into it last year. Shout out my boy Gus Fring, Giancarlo Esposito, killed it. I think he did really good in that. I didn't complete it. Honestly, I might go back and complete it. It's all my backlog to beat. Last of Us Part 1, going gold. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up, but I think it's cool that we're getting the remake. I don't think it needs to be remade, but just seeing the trailers and seeing Joel and Ellie from the first game with these upgraded models it's very exciting. Honestly, I think that it's gonna be an interesting release. I don't know if many people are gonna buy it, especially after yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? Millions of people are gonna buy this fucking game. I just don't know if it's gonna be the success of, if it's gonna have the same sales as honestly, even the remaster, right? Probably not the remaster. That shit sold hella. But I might buy it. I'll probably pick it up and play through it just because everyone loves that first story. I adore Joel and Ellie and the world that Naughty Dog set up in The Last of Us Part 1. So I think we're going to end this section of the podcast here. Testing. Okay, so
That'll do it.
let me scooch back here. So, this is going to be the movie section. This is going to be the longer section this week. And it's time to introduce someone who's very important to this podcast. His name is Jacob Reinhold. This is my best friend, now housemate. I've known him since 3rd grade. And the most interesting thing about Jacob Reinhold, besides for being borderline autistic, is that we've grown up with the same interests and we have completely different opinions about almost everything. I will like this genre of music, sport. I like sports in general. He doesn't. I like these video games. He like hates the same games I play. So I think it's going to be a very dynamic duo here. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. I can't wait.
Honored. So now we get to talk about our favorite thing in the world. And by that I mean sarcastically Thor Love and Thunder. And why
Best movie I've ever seen. Personally.
Why this movie is signaling a downward trend in the MCU. Give me some thoughts.
First of all, I think the downward trend has already been a thing.
It started with Captain Marvel, if we're going to be honest.
I don't know, because Captain Marvel was still before Endgame and all that.
Was it before? Oh, it was before Endgame.
Think about it. Captain Marvel was before Endgame.
Okay.
Now, you could say Captain Marvel was like the start of the downtrend of individual movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, like, I guess you had Captain Marvel. In a similar time frame, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp. Which wasn't, like, bad, but it was, like, okay.
It was whatever.
Captain Marvel, I personally think, was, like, actually bad. Like, it was just boring.
I agree.
And it was not interesting.
I think it has, like, no redeeming qualities.
The third act was just... The thing I always hated about Captain Marvel was the whole movie is about her unlocking these insanely epic powers that we know are going to be the key to beating Thanos. And the final boss of that movie is literally 3 people in fighter jets. Like, she doesn't doesn't fight anybody. Like, you would think if you have this god level character, you're going to show that off by having her defeat a really powerful villain. Because the whole point of Captain Marvel, like, after Infinity War, the whole point of Captain Marvel was she's gonna be the one that makes them able to beat Thanos. She's gonna be the key, because she's so strong. And how do they prove that to us? She blows up 3 fighter jets in Act 3 of her movie.
She does blow up 3
Iron Man
fighter
did
jets.
that in Iron Man 1.
True. And it wasn't even the finale.
And it was, like, the first 30 minutes of the movie or something. But... So, like, I guess you could kind of say that was the start of the down spiral. Then you had Eternals, which apparently some people say is okay. I think that's revisionist history. Now, as someone who has not seen Eternals...
I have also not seen Eternals. So the Eternals slander could be wrong.
The Eternals
If you are an
slander could be
Eternals
wrong.
fan, please vouch for anything about this movie.
No one's going to respond, not because this is a new project, but because there are no Eternals
There are no
fans.
Eternals fans. I'm well aware. However, we're missing an important piece here.
Yes.
We're missing Shang-Chi.
Now,
That
I
movie's
actually
bad.
have not gotten around to watching Shang-Chi.
Okay, that movie's bad.
So I can't use Shang-Chi as a frame for the MCU.
Okay.
I have heard that it's pretty good. I haven't heard that it's amazing. I've heard that it's pretty good.
In my opinion, I despise every character in that movie.
Really?
I don't think like a single one of them actually is.
Dude, even Simu?
Yes.
Even Simu?
No, actually, I'm wrong.
Have you not seen him on Hot Ones?
I'm actually wrong. There's one character, and I have to find it. It's this little minion guy. This is the best character in the movie. This is the best character of the movie. Him and fucking Ben Kingsman, I think, or fucking
Kingsley.
Kingsley, yeah. Best characters in the movie, by far.
Okay.
Hilarious. Actually, the best part. However, I am also someone who enjoyed the Screaming Goats in Thor: Love and Thunder, which is apparently a hot take now.
Yeah, because the Screaming Goats are not good. That brings us to Thor: Love. That helps us
That
reorganize.
does segue
though.
into Thor: Love and
So
Thunder.
Thor: Love and Thunder, going into it, I was actually really hoping that it would kind of be a turnaround, because
I agree.
Spider-Man was pretty good, but then like Doctor Strange was horrible. It was not good. I don't get, like, all the people who like Doctor Strange like it because Sam Raimi directed it. They don't really like it because it's like a good movie.
Agreed.
Like, everyone, I mean, I say everyone, but this is just people I see on the internet. Like, people in real life who I haven't met anyone in real life who likes the movie.
True.
Everyone on the internet I've seen that likes Doctor Strange, they like it because it's a Sam Raimi project, and they like it because it's, like, got that interesting directing style and all that, and it's unique that way. No one likes it because of, like, the characters, or the themes, or the story. And, like, you could say, like, MCU movies have never, like, really been about that, but, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, one of my favorite MCU movies, it's all about the characters and, like, the themes, and not really, like, a complex plot, but a plot that you are at least interested in.
It also has, like, emotional value to it. Like, when you see, like, the ending funeral in Guardians 2 with the fireworks going off.
Exactly.
Right? Like, those moments pay off so big because you actually care about the characters. And who gives a shit about any of the people in this movie?
Yes. I have a general rule of thumb when it comes to anything that I want to watch or enjoy. my number one thing I want is plot and themes. Like, I find that stuff really interesting. That's a sign of good writing. If you can't have great plot and themes, give me great emotions. Because if you can give me great emotions, I don't need great plot and themes.
I think that's better framed as make me care.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. Make me care. But, like, there's, like, two types of writing. Like, you can write something that people care about without it being, like, a really well-written thing. Like, as an example, you're probably going to find out I'm pretty much a weeb. I watch a lot of anime, I read a lot of manga.
Why are you outing yourself on episode 1?
They're going to find out eventually. I can't hide it. Because I'm going to use an example. I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho last year. Yu Yu Hakusho, for anyone that knows half of
the normal people
for the normal
podcast.
People. Yu Yu Hakusho was an anime and manga in like the 90s, I think. And it was actually done by the guy who would go on to do Hunter x Hunter. And the thing that's crazy about Yu Yu Hakusho is the first 20 or so episodes, the plots, you could literally predict everything that happens. Like, there's literally scenes where a character is about to die, and you're watching it, and you're like, oh, it would be really, like, generic if someone jumped in and saved them at the last moment because they discovered their humanity, and then that is exactly what happens.
Okay.
Like, it was made at a point where those tropes weren't tropes. So that was just what they did. Okay. But the thing that's crazy about it is that even though the story is frankly awful, because it's all just generic stuff, the emotions are there. Like, the characters are there, and you actually care because they have decent motivations and stuff like that. Now, I'm just going on this big tangent as an example to show that, like, you don't need a good plot to actually care sometimes.
Yeah, I think that, like, the way to get people to care is, I thought of this, like, actually insane example. Using the characters from this movie. Mm-hmm. When you see, if you look back at Thor 1 and 2, right? And Thor has all this, like, emotional shit happen to him. You really don't give a fuck about Thor in the first 2 movies. Mm-hmm. You really couldn't care less, right? And then you get Ragnarok, where you're like, okay, I'm starting to care a little bit, right? Yeah. Loki dies in that end scene or whatever, like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then you get those scenes in Infinity War where he's talking to Rocket in the ship. And he's like, mm-hmm. I've lost everything.
Yeah.
And he's, like, trying to put on this front, and you're like, wait, they're making this character so interesting. Like, mm-hmm. This is such a pivotal moment for him when you're looking at him in the scheme of the MCU. And then we just decide to not do anything with that. And we just decide to just go full fucking balls to the wall with the comedy. And we're forgetting a lot of, like, the drama, which makes this character so unique in comparison to a lot of them in the MCU. Mm-hmm. Where you have these wacky, goofy fucking retards. Excuse my French. And then you have these characters who are wacky and goofy, but at the same time grounded. I think Iron Man was a great example of that, where you'll have these jokes that hit really hard, but then you have these grounded scenes where him with Morgan all throughout Endgame, right? You have these grounded scenes, and I really think that's what this movie lacked, was any form of making you give a fuck.
Yeah, I totally agree. And on the topic of, like, wasting, like, what was becoming an interesting character, I feel like a lot of people would say that began in Endgame with, like, Fat Thor.
Oh, yeah.
I personally, like, when I very first saw Endgame, before I checked Twitter and the internet and all that, I didn't think that Thor was really that big of a joke. Like, everyone said that, like, they thought it was really cringe and disgusting, that they played it up for laughs and everything. I really didn't think that it was that egregious. Like, it was really... I felt like they did it in a good way. Like, I felt like Endgame was still a good progression of Thor's character, because when they visit Thor after the, like, time skip, and he's obese and playing Fortnite and stuff, sure, it's a bit of... Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, the joke is, oh, Thor is playing video games now, and he's not leaving his house and all that, but they didn't... At least in my opinion, the heart of it was still, this guy's freaking depressed.
This guy's broken.
The heart of it was, he is pathetic because he's so depressed. Mm-hmm. And for me, that worked. Like, for me, I thought that was really interesting. And then they play into it again with the conversation Thor has with his mom, where his mom, like, doesn't say, like, oh, Thor, you're so fat, you look like a freaking idiot. She says, like... oh, like, you've been going through tough stuff, haven't you? Like,
oh my god, that's
yeah, that was a really good scene.
That's such a good moment.
That's just me dispelling the thing of like, oh, Thor's like death of a character began in Endgame. I really don't think it did.
No, it was good in Endgame.
Exactly. Then going into Love and Thunder, I just don't care about anything that's happening with him because I feel like they're inventing problems for him. Like, for example, there's such this big focus on Jane Foster. And they planted that, to give them credit, they did plant that a little bit in Endgame. Because there was this scene where he was looking at Jane, like, through the window or whatever.
Yep.
And he was, like, watching her. And you kind of got the feeling of, like, oh, he kind of misses her. Or whatever. But then Love and Thunder starts, and he's going on and on about, like, how she was the only person he ever loved, and she was this huge, like, most important person in his life, and he regrets everything that happened with her. It feels like they're inventing a relationship that was never there. Like, she was just kind of, like, his girlfriend in the last two. We never got the feeling that they were this amazing relationship.
Yeah, I think they tried to make you care with, like, that quick montage, you know what I'm talking, where they're, like, showing them going out to dinner and, like, staying home.
Yeah, but even that was played off as a joke.
Exactly,
like that,
but,
they
like,
had
we don't...
Taika Waititi, Korg, like, oh, this was the love of Thor. Like, they didn't really give me... Like, it wasn't, like, a first 10 minutes of Up type thing, where they really make you, like, emotionally care about it in that way.
I would also like to say, I introed this section by saying how different we are opinion-wise, and we've only agreed for the past.
That's what this movie...
Besides for the goats.
We will get to the goats. But that's what a bad movie does. It brings people together.
It really does.
You know, I think that the world only ever really achieved peace when The Rise of Skywalker came out. And we could all unite for a moment
One day
on how
we're
bad
gonna,
that movie
One day
was.
we're gonna have to get a pod of me, you, and Joey, just to have like a pod, like a Star Wars, like anthology,
a Star Wars mega discussion. That'll be a great episode.
That'll be a great pod.
But keeping it to Thor, I feel like you were saying, they don't really do a good job of making you care. They try to invent care through like this Jane relationship, but then they're also inventing these weird character quirks that like make everything a joke. Like the fact that Thor is like obsessed with Mjolnir now.
Yeah.
Like in Ragnarok, Mjolnir breaks and he's not like crying his eyes out because his hammer broke. He's upset because he felt like the hammer was the only thing that gave him power. And the character arc was learning that he didn't need the hammer. There was literally the joke with Odin that I love, which is like, what are you, Thor, god of hammers?
Yeah.
Like, no, you're Thor, god of thunder. Like, the hammer was just a tool. You are the power. But now, in in Love and Thunder, he's like obsessed with Mjolnir.
It is really weird.
They make this ongoing joke where Mjolnir is like Thor's ex-girlfriend, and now he has Stormbreaker, and like Stormbreaker is jealous of Mjolnir.
That was the cringiest part of the movie.
It may have been a funny joke for like 10 minutes. It was not like something worth like threading through the entire film.
I agree. And I think that also leads to where, in my opinion, this movie was bad. Dude, the side characters fucking sucked. They murdered Tessa Thompson in this movie. She was somewhat interesting. Didn't care for her at all. I don't care for her at all.
Yeah.
Zeus with Russell Crowe had potential. Like, really did to be like a... Jeff Goldblum.
He did. He had potential to have that same kind of dynamic.
Like that kind of energy and be that magnetic on the screen. And then they just have him doing these random fucking rants and like stupid shit, and just like, why the fuck? And then he like somehow lives instead. Like when they try to like, we're setting up new movie and shit with him.
Yeah.
And that's another big problem with the MCU is that these projects don't ever feel definitive. They don't ever feel like this is the end of this story, because we're always getting introduced to new characters and who might have spin-off shows or movies based off them, because that is what makes the money at the end of the day. But I just think that they need to make us give a shit I think Christian Bale was great. I thought his performance was incredible. But I'm sorry, seeing a 3-minute montage in the beginning of the movie doesn't make me care for the kid at all.
Well, the thing that I thought was crazy about it is when I sat down in the seat for this movie, in the first 5-10 minutes, I thought it was going to be good. Because the gore scene where his daughter dies and he meets the god and everything, I felt that was all handled really well. It was, like, quiet, there were no jokes, it was, like, they took their time with it. It was almost as if, like, that was the first thing they filmed, and they were like, we need to get this right. And then everything else was just, okay, we had our serious scene, it's time for jokes. And it just felt like they're similar to what you said, how there were no good side characters. I've seen a lot of people say that Gore is the best part of the movie. I didn't even feel anything interesting from him. Like, those first 10 minutes were really cool. To me, it literally just felt like, oh, that's... What's his name? The actor, I'm blanking.
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale. I'm blanking. I was thinking Batman for some reason. But it was literally like, oh, that's Christian Bale in whiteface. Like, it didn't...
you wouldn't be wrong!
He didn't feel like his own character. Like, you have Josh Brolin as Thanos, and you hear his voice, and you see him a little in the mocap, but you're like, that's Thanos.
Yep.
You see, like, all of the main characters do a really good job at it. You see them as their characters.
I even think, like, if we want to just stick on villains...
Yeah.
Loki. You see Loki as Loki.
Yeah.
Right? You see... I thought Michael B. Jordan was really fucking good as Killmonger.
I thought he was pretty good. I don't understand why everybody jerks him off so much.
I
thought, like, this is the problem. Like, you know how everybody says the MCU has garbage villains?
Uh-huh.
The problem is that Michael B. Jordan was, like, an okay villain, but because the standard of the MCU is so low, people treat him like the second coming of Christ.
I really bought his performance a lot, because he is one of those actors where, or at least for me, I really can resonate on screen when he's like doing I've always talked to you about like the lip quivering and the tears. He's so good at that, and he's so really good at making you care about him. So when you see him on screen in Black Panther, I fucking hated that movie at first, but now watching it 2-3 times, I'm like, okay, I can appreciate this. Which goes to another point on this movie. This movie's not rewatchable. I don't think that
no one wants to rewatch it. It's not good. Why would you want to rewatch a bad movie?
I saw Multiverse of Madness twice. Now let me tell you.
You would do that
let me tell you. The second time was there were circumstances where my friends wanted to see it and I was the only one there who had seen it. I was just like, okay, I'll take one for the team. Man, that movie's bad. This movie is not as bad. It's just kind of dull. The humor, when it doesn't land, you're just sitting here and you're just like, what is going on?
It's like what everybody is saying is it's non-stop jokes, and the jokes aren't landing at all. Like, there was, I think, like, 2 jokes. I can't even remember them, which sucks, because, like, I can remember jokes that I like in other MCU movies really well. But, like, it felt like it was just non-stop little jokes that never really amounted to anything.
They don't hit at all.
And the thing that really hurts me about it is the fact that I thought Ragnarok genuinely was a really funny but also good movie. Like, the whole reason that I thought Love and Thunder was going to be really good is because it was like, oh, well, Taika Waititi has already done this in Ragnarok.
Yep.
He has already done a really interesting, funny, but still heartfelt story in Thor Ragnarok.
There was a plot, and they
like Thor Ragnarok.
The villain sucks. Like, the villain sucks in Thor Ragnarok.
People say she's one of the best.
If they say that, they must be smoking crack. Because I don't
have problems with her.
If we're on the subject of caring about MCU villains, she's bottom 5. I don't give a shit about her at all. I couldn't care less. But then you see, like, the entire rest of the movie is just so good and so interesting, and is consequently really fucking funny too, that I'm fine with them having a shittier villain. Because it makes up for it with the other parts of the movie.
Even then, though, I don't think it's an actively bad villain. It's just okay.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, Gore and Hela are in really similar leagues, in my opinion. One of them is played by Christian Bale. Okay? That's all. If
That is fair.
you could listen, if you got a guy that wasn't Christian Bale that did the exact same performance, nobody would care.
I agree.
People
I actually do agree with this
only
point.
think it's good because it's Christian Bale. You could literally pull a Joe Schmo off the street. He could cry when his daughter dies, and then he could go, "Oh, I will kill all gods." Yeah. And people would be like, this villain is mid. It's literally just because under the makeup, it's Christian Bale that people are pretending like he's really good.
Apparently they, to his credit, he said that they cut a lot of the scenes in the movie that were supposed to be like darker stuff, like funny, like darker, like funny, he said, like that type of shit. And maybe that would have made us like him more, but at the end of the day, Thor Love and Thunder is just not a good movie.
Yeah. Dude,
it's just not.
The thing that upsets me about it, too, is going into the movie, I didn't know anything about the comics. All I knew was about Mighty Thor, which is the Jane Foster Thor. I knew they were going to be covering that, and I knew that the internet told me that the Gore the God Killer arc, or Gore the God Butcher arc, was really good in the comics. After watching Thor Love and Thunder, I did some research on the comics, dude, and Gore is so much more interesting in the comics.
Really?
The Gore arc in the comics is a story taking place in 3 timelines at once. It covers Thor in the 1100s, where he's hanging out with Vikings. Like, literally,
That's
Thor is
lit.
a Viking in the 1100s. It also covers Thor in the modern day as an Avenger. And then it covers Thor in the future as, like, an Odin-type character who has let everyone in Asgard die. And he's basically, like, trying not to fight anymore. And the storyline is, like, Thor runs into Gore once in the 1100s and has no idea who he is. Then he runs into him again in modern times and, like, remembers that he ran into him before and is trying to figure out who this guy is and what he's trying to do.
Damn,
and then
sick.
Runs into him again in the future. And there's basically, like, this finale where all 3 Thors need to, like, come together in this weird time warp space to fight Gore.
That's fucking sick.
And not only that part of it is interesting, but Gore himself is a way more interesting character. Or maybe not necessarily an interesting character, but he does more interesting things. Like, you know how in Love and Thunder, Gore's whole thing is that he's trying to kill a bunch of gods, and he is independently trying to get to this, like, infinity thing that'll, like, let him wish to kill all gods.
Yep.
Like, they're kind of 2 independent motivations. It's like, first of all, he's killing gods manually, but he's also just trying to find this thing that can automatically get it done.
Yeah. It is.
In the comics, he's not killing gods and then also trying to wish to get them killed. In order to wish for them to be killed, he needs the blood of gods. So it's like a plan.
I don't understand why they wouldn't do that in the movie.
Yeah,
That
so
makes
the
no
whole
sense.
thing they did in the comic is, like, there's some really dark imagery where, like, he literally needs to create a pool of the blood of gods. So he has this giant pool that he drains their blood into.
Jesus
And then
Christ!
and then the god blood, like, is used in a ritual that summons the whatever the MacGuffin was called so that he can make this wish. And it's just like that little difference that I'm like, why couldn't they just put that in the movie? It would make it seem like more of a plot. It would make it seem like, oh no, now that he has killed enough people, he can do this.
Actually, yeah. And then that, like, might consequently make you care that he's actually, like, murdering these fucking gods, right?
Exactly, because you're thinking, oh no, if he kills enough gods, he'll get into this problem.
Yeah. And then, so then I want to segue this
Yes.
discussion into the fate of the future MCU things, right? So currently, going through the list of stuff, She-Hulk, don't care. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, rest in peace,
Not
Chadwick.
interested at all.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be really bad. The
It's-
reason I think it's going to be really bad, obviously, you don't have Black Panther anymore.
Yeah.
Second of all, what is the point of a Black Panther movie without Black
Panther? Yep.
Like, I get it. It's comic books. Things get changed all the time. Like, retcons happen. Like, technically, comic books can do whatever the heck they want and get away with it. But, like, we cared about Black Panther because we liked the actor in it and we liked the villain in it, and everything else was okay. Like, there's no more interest at this point. Like, you might as well, like, revive Killmonger to try to drive some interest, but that would be stupid, too.
That I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the third one.
Possible interest, but really I'm not hyped for it, but I like Paul Rudd.
I agree.
It could be good.
I think that Kang's supposed to be the villain here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't... Now, this is my unpopular MCU opinion. I think Loki is bottom tier. I really did not like Loki.
Such a bad opinion, but
I thought it was boring. I thought the plot was uninteresting. I thought they didn't tell it well. I thought there was too many filler episodes. It suffers from the Mandalorian syndrome of just, we need an hour-long one-off plot, and then we tie it into the big plot in the last 5 minutes. And they do that in like 3 separate episodes. But this isn't a Loki episode. Yeah. The whole reason I'm saying that is
the Loki episode we're gonna be podding, because that's gonna be me and you going back. Because I think Loki's probably they have like 5 or 6 shows at this point. It's definitely in the top 3. I think Loki's super interesting.
For me, but everyone else says that.
I think episode 1 of Loki, especially the end, is the best thing Marvel's done in a fucking hot minute.
The whole reason I went on the Loki rant is to say that I don't have any interaction with Kang because I didn't even finish Loki. I literally stopped before the last episode because I got so bored and I didn't care. But,
Guardians.
I don't care about Kang.
Next on the list is Guardians 3.
I have hope.
We all... Listen... We thought Taika was going to do a great job with this movie because Taika's a fucking great director. Do we think James Gunn might fumble the bag here?
I am cautiously optimistic because Taika... This is what Taika did. Taika did Thor Ragnarok. He did Jojo Rabbit.
Yep.
And between Jojo Rabbit and Love and Thunder, he really hasn't done anything. Now, I get it, like, they were filming partially during COVID or whatever, so, like, it delayed a bunch of stuff. But James Gunn did Guardians 1, which was really good. He did Guardians 2, which really I also think is really good. He then did The Suicide Squad, which I thought was really great. Good. It was genuinely great. Then he directed Peacemaker, which is also...
I heard it was really good, though.
Peacemaker is also very good. Like, there's definitely some, like, poo-poo pee-pee jokes in it. But it's a good show where, like, there's fun characters and there's some moments of interesting writing and all that. It's not perfect, but it's really good. He's been signed on for a 2nd season of Peacemaker.
Okay.
And he's doing Guardians 3. So, like, he's been doing stuff constantly.
He's been proving himself, for sure.
Exactly. That's why I'm really hoping. I mean, I think if he has enough creative control, he can make something really great. I'm just hoping that the MCU, like, machine doesn't screw it up.
The Marvels, no one cares about.
I don't even really get the point of that. Like, I skimmed Miss Marvel. The thing that sucks about Captain Marvel for me, I know we said we hate Captain Marvel in the beginning. I really wanted to like Captain Marvel, because I had, like, a vague interest in the character. It just immediately killed it for me. Like, I want to like Captain Marvel so bad. I actually really like the concept of Kamala Khan Miss Marvel. I would love to have something where I could just like them a lot, but I feel like we're not going to get it.
Well, I think, judging by this, so you know how they're doing the panel for Comic-Con?
Yeah.
That's going to happen Saturday the 23rd. So by the time we're recording the next episode of this, we should have more updates on what...
Wait, is Comic-Con, like, all of Comic-Con, like, this weekend?
I think so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'll give a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about next week. I think it's going to give us at least some sort of roadmap for what the MCU is going to look like, whether we give a shit about it or not. I assume we're going to get the Mahershala Ali Blade. We'll get something about that, because we'll get Fantastic Four, I think. Or at least something about it.
Hopefully. I don't know.
We'll get... That'll be a next episode.
What I would love to see is... I saw something online that I thought was really interesting. They said now that Spider-Man is, like, wiped from everybody's minds, Spoiler alert for No Way Home. Now that Spider-Man is wiped from everybody's minds and he has no connection to everybody,
Yep.
and now that they need to introduce Fantastic Four, they can build connection between Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four.
Oh, that'd be really
Because in the comics, Spider-Man is way more involved in the Fantastic Four than he ever was with the Avengers.
The cringe Avengers.
Yeah, like he gets called in for random things with the Avengers every once in a while, but he was in the Fantastic Four for a while. There was a storyline where Johnny Storm died, and Spider-Man took his spot in the Fantastic Four for a while. Yeah, and he got like this cool like white suit because they were doing like a white suit for the Fantastic Four. I don't know. I'd love to see them build towards that.
I think yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week.
Definitely.
Assuming you're the guest next week, which is probably looking like it's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, if these are the topics.
Yeah. And then I wanted to get quick thoughts. Real quick. Nope. It's coming out this weekend.
Okay.
What are our expectations? Where do we think it's gonna rank in the Jordan Peele discography?
Get Out, very good, like thriller kind of horror thing.
So this is my I got to take the reins.
Yes.
For me, Get Out is a perfect movie. I think Get Out is a 10. I think Get Out is a movie you put on with people anywhere. If you're like someone hasn't seen Get Out, you watch Get Out and everyone's having a good time.
Okay.
There's been times where I just want to watch Get Out so I can see other people like reaction. Like that psychological thriller is my favorite genre movie. I think it's a lot of people's favorite genre. It's just there's not
when
a lot
it's
of
done
them.
well, it's really good.
There's just not a lot of them. I think Get Out is great in my opinion. There's so much about it.
Yeah.
The social commentary is great in it too, but Us I think was a step below. I think Us was a great concept, maybe not executed the best.
Yeah, I feel like Us kind of like could have gotten weirder. It kind of feels like it's two different movies. Like Us in the first half feels like it's trying to be a thriller horror, and then in the second half it feels like it's trying to be like a high concept psychological horror. Like this is a weeb moment here, but it kind of feels like it's hitting like an Evangelion tone at the end, which is crazy. Like it gets into this weird like everybody holding hands across the world, like conspiracies, alternate world stuff, like secret experiments.
Yeah,
it gets into this really weird tone that doesn't feel like it matches with the beginning at all. You have like two really interesting movies that come together to be like, okay.
I agree. I think it's like a solid like 6.
I think it could probably be a 7, considering the fact that I think Thor: Love and Thunder is a 6.
Yeah.
But
you might. Yeah. No, I think. But for me, Get Out is a 10. I think Nope. All the trailers look great. I love Daniel Kaluuya and I love Jordan Peele and I love the combination of them working together. Mm-hmm. I think Nope has a lot of potential.
Maybe I haven't seen the right trailers, or maybe I have seen all of the trailers.
And you just didn't feel it?
Well, no, not that I didn't feel it, but like I feel like I can't tell what the like threat of the movie is. Like it's just storms.
It's like very ambiguous.
Like it's literally like cowboys, and now they're like, oh no, there's a tornado, but it's like no, but the tornado. It's not a normal tornado, I guess. Like through the tone, it's like an alien tornado.
From what I understand, it's like UFOs and aliens, but it's in like broad daylight, so you can see everyone getting murdered. Or at least that's what I heard. I could be wrong. I think we come back next week and we'll have. I'm seeing it this weekend. Are you gonna see it? I mean, honestly, I think me and Paul are gonna see it, so you just come with if you want.
Yeah, I might be able to.
Yeah, but I think next week that'll be one of the bigger topics. Giving some thoughts on Nope, as well as this movies is gonna be. Thank God, because I was saying earlier, like this is the worst time for like sports because nothing's happening. Mm-hmm. Literally. It's only baseball.
Best sport in the world, baby!
It's only
America's
baseball.
pastime, baby!
It's only baseball. And, like, basketball's off, football's off. So, we gotta get something to fill these fucking pods. And thank God, we're gonna have a lot of movie news the next couple weeks. So, yeah, I think that's gonna close out the first episode of Sorry I'm Late. Thank you all for listening. And, I hope you come back next time.
There's going to be so many great conversations with so many great guests. I think we're going to have celebrity guests.
Celebrity guests. And by celebrity guests, we mean maybe my mother.
Oh my god.
Well, that would be a great episode.
That would be absolutely amazing.
All right, everyone. I will see you next time.